It's hard to believe, but it is already time to start seeds for this season's garden. And in this video, I'm going to start about 500 onion plants in a really compact way because that would take up a lot of room. We're also going to start some artichoke plants, and we're going to get the sweet potatoes all prepped so they can start sprouting their little slips so we don't have to buy any this summer. And a little something that just makes my heart happy. Let's go. So why 500 onions? Well, my goal for years has been to grow all of the onions that we could use in a year, and I haven't done that yet. So this year is going to be the year. I've done the seed roll method in the past. I did it partially last year, and I really like it. I have a whole video on that if you want to go check that out. So since I haven't done this from start to fruition in this method, I'm really staking a lot into this. So I'm going to try to grow extra just to balance out my odds. So let's get started. Now the way the seed roll works is I have some bubble wrap and I've doubled it, and I've got the bumpy bubble part to the inside and I've got the folded part at the top. And we are just going to go in and put this soil.
I have mixed some organic seed starting mix and an organic potting mix.
We're just going to lay this out. I haven't done this in about a year, 8 months. And we're going to get a nice thick layer in here,
because my goal is for it to stay in this seed roll until I plant it outside.
We're just going to start rolling. Now, the lady that I got this idea from, she calls these snail rolls. And she actually commented on that video I did, and she was so sweet.
Instagram is her only platform. She's not on YouTube. This seed roll allows me to cut out all the steps when starting seeds, up potting them like I usually do, and I can go from this straight to the garden in one step. Possibly one little extra step depending on how fast they grow, but it is super easy. And to keep from feeling overwhelmed this year, I'm going to keep it simple. While we plant the rest of these up, I want to talk to you about what kind of onion you need to be growing. And it all depends on where you live. It depends on your daylight hours. Now, I'm in zone 7AB, and according to the latitude of where you live, there's short day, intermediate, and long day onions. Short day gets 10 to 12 hours, intermediate's 12 to 14 hours, and long day is 14 to 16. Here is a map to kind of decide what you need in your area. And the way that works is when the temps and day length hit a certain point, it triggers the bulbs to start to form. For instance, here in the South, after the summer solstice, our days start getting shorter and our bulbs are done. They're not going to get any bigger at that time. I'll link that same map that I just showed you in the description, and I'll link 2 Dickson Dale Farms videos in the description that explains all that. So if you have any questions, and they're short little videos, just go check those out.
Now, I am aware of the problem with plastics. And if you aren't, I suggest you go check that out. Plastics are a huge problem. However, at this point, I am not using soil blocks, and that is about one of the only ways you can avoid using plastic when you're doing your seed startings. Otherwise, I would be using the plastic containers. But for the average person, they're going to be using plastic containers. And my goal is for people to learn how to grow their own food. They can cross those bridges later as they get more comfortable growing their food.
I've been thinking of alternatives because I love the compact nature of the seed rolls. And I tried using paper and some other things, but they just did not perform as well as the plastic. I think the plastic did a better job of retaining moisture and controlling the temperature of the soil. I'm using a Texas grano, and that is a short day onion, and I got these from M.I. Gardner. It was $2 for 250 seeds. Uh-oh, the supervisor found the sweet potatoes. And I was able to do 4 rolls and get 250 seeds in there. And you'd be surprised at how much they can grow. And I just topped them off with this organic seed starting mix. We'll get these finished planted up, and I stuck these on the heat mat. That is totally not necessary for the onions. They'll do just fine at room temperature. Let's get these watered up. Then we will plant the artichokes and the the sweet peas super fast, and then we'll get to the sweet potatoes. Now I just watered them gently on top, and then I'm going to water them in at the bottom and try to keep that good and moist until they germinate.
So hopefully out of the 500 seeds we planted, I'll get enough to last us for a year. Now I wanted to start some artichokes because they take a little while to get started. I had one plant make it last year, and it should survive through the winter. So let's get the artichokes planted.
This is the same mixture of the seed starting mix in the potting soil. That way it's nice and soft for the seed to germinate in, but then as it grows, it's still got some nutrients in it. This is the globe artichoke. They look kind of like sunflower seeds. I started off with just putting 1 in each cell, but I ended up putting 2. Artichokes are easy, low maintenance once you get them started. And remember, it's simplicity this year. That's the theme. And I'll probably have to up pot these into bigger pots as they grow.
The sweet peas. Sweet peas smell amazing. They are not a pea that you eat. It's just growing it for the cut flowers. One of the things that I've struggled with in the past is that it gets really hot here really fast. So I'm going to go ahead and get these started now. Just like peas, they can stand some cold weather and some frost. However, they do not like their roots disturbed, so they aren't easily transplanted. They like to be planted directly out there. I don't want to do that. So that's another reason that I like the seed roll method, is they can get a really long root structure, and you're able to get them to a really good size and plant them out with very little root disruption. So I'm going to see if it works. We'll see.
We're going to do this the same as we did before with the seed roll. And the roots can grow really long and they don't intertwine with each other's. And that's why I'm thinking the peas will be happy in the seed roll.
It's called Sweet Pea Perfume Delight, and it's by Botanical Interest. So I'm going to plant these about 1 inch apart. Oh, good grief.
We'll get these watered in. We'll gently water on top, and then we'll water them on the bottom. And then we'll get to the sweet potatoes.
We'll see how the sweet peas do in that seed roll, and I saved some. And if that seems to work, we'll start some late summer and then probably have some left to enjoy into the fall. It's already sprouting. Crazy. And that'll sprout too. So I just have an old salad. It's a spring mix salad container. We're just going to get it slightly moist. I like using the little plastic container with the lid because I can sit it on the heat mat, the seed mat, and put the lid on it, and it'll really help it get warm because sweet potatoes are tropical. And last year, I think it was just a little bit too cold down here. That's one reason I have curtain hanging back there, plus it's ugly back there. But that helps keep some of the heat in. And I could also even hang some towels or something in front of this during these really cold days to help keep it warm for the seeds until they get good and germinated. That was a little bit of a problem last year. So this is just a seed starting mix mixed with some potting soil, and we're just going to put a little bit in the bottom. You don't need much. We are not burying the sweet potatoes. We're just going to sit them in there. Now, let's see. I also have this little date container, and I have one purple potato. I grow the purple potatoes. I don't like the way they taste, but they're purple potatoes and they're really cool, and I do like having them on hand. They're good for you. Now, we don't want any holes in the bottom of this, but the fact that it's clear, we can keep an eye and make sure that we're not getting it too moist. And we are just going to take the sweet potato and we're going to just nestle it down in that soil. This is just a sweet potato that I got. It's organic from a grocery store. Now, it's already got a little bad spot on it, and I don't know if it'll do anything. That might sprout, that little nub, and that little spot right there. So we'll put this in here and try it. And if it gives me any problems, we'll just take him out. I'm just gonna, I don't even know what kind it is.
And again, if you aren't in a cold basement and these are just in your house at your normal temperatures around 68, 70 degrees, you won't need the heat mat for the sweet potatoes either. It just gives them a little jump start. They'll just come on slower.
And then we'll be able to see as it starts growing roots down here, and we'll be able to monitor it real well because we can see everything. We could do the same thing in this little container. And that's it.
We're just getting these moist to start. You do not want to keep these super wet because they will rot. You'll be able to tell, just keep an eye on them.
That was my dates.
Here's some from last year. In a little while, they'll start to sprout some little green shoots, and you cut them off and you just put them in water and they will grow roots. Here's some last year that I was getting ready to plant outside, and after they root, I took some and I placed them in a seed roll, and you can see really nice roots formed. That's why I think it'll work for the sweet peas.
You'll have time for your sweet potatoes. Go pick you up an organic sweet potato. If it's not organic, it's usually sprayed with some sort of sprouting inhibitor. And so those probably won't work. It'll just take too long for them to get started. So just pick you up some organic ones. That's where mine came from about 3 or 4 years ago. So I'm really not even sure of the variety anymore, but they've been great. And they seem to get stronger and stronger every year. It's something to be said about they get adapted to your soil, your area. They do. We got some of the stuff that takes the longest started, and next we're going to work on some herbs. I want to get some chamomile started and some herbs that are more of a perennial herbs that take a little bit longer to get started. That's probably what we'll work on next. And we've got lots to do, so you'll be able to come along and start your seeds along with me. And I thank you all so much for hanging out with me. My name's Loanna, and this is a Little Bit of Homestead.